What's up, Gromies? Grower J back at it again with another interesting video. Since the VCure was released, we've seen tons of users receiving their units, using them with great success, and it's really cool to see those awesome results. However, anytime new technology shows up in any space, it seems like especially in the cultivation space, the same question always follows. Does it actually work? We've seen a bit of criticism about the VCure. Some people saying that there's no science behind it, that it's a gimmick product, even some saying that it'll mold the flowers, not preserve your terpenes, ruin harvest, and that it doesn't offer any consistency. If we wanted real answers, we needed a real experiment. That means designing controlled, comprehensive tests. To begin with, we've identified 4 key metrics critical to drying, curing, and overall post-harvest performance: moisture, water activity, cannabinoids, terpenes. First is moisture. Moisture content testing tells you how much water is physically held within the cannabis flower. It's one of the most important post-harvest tests because it tells you how well the cannabis flower was actually dried and if it will store safely without quality loss. The ideal moisture content for cannabis flower is between 11 and 13%. And the second is water activity. This is one of the most important metrics in drying and curing and is different from total moisture content. Water activity measures how much free water is held within the cannabis and how much that free water wants to escape into the air. This indicates how much moisture things like mold, yeast, or bacteria could potentially use to grow. The ideal pass range for water activity is between 0.55 and 0.65 AW, or available water. You also have terpenes. Now, terpenes are where the flavor and aroma of the flower live. Through the drying and curing process, terpenes will naturally degrade, oxidize, and even evaporate from the flower. So maintaining terpenes throughout the drying and curing process is critical to overall flower quality. Then you have cannabinoids. Cannabinoids are what bring the physical and psychoactive effects as well as therapeutic and medicinal properties of cannabis. Measuring their overall content shows how much cannabinoid concentration is held within the flower and how the flower's chemistry changes through drying and curing. This is the main test for potency and product consistency. We evaluated quite a few other testing options, but partnered with Encore Labs for good reason. They are one of, if not the premier testing labs in the legal space, accredited by the PGLA Testing Authority, National Cannabis Association, CLSA, ACIL, and even the American Society of Microbiology. That's a big deal. Encore Labs is used to dealing with top-tier dispensaries and producers, so we knew we could trust them with our tests and have confidence in our results. We used premium flower harvested from a top-producing licensed facility to conduct our test. We ensured all the samples going into the VCure units were harvested from the same bench, table, and even neighboring plants. We set up a testing plan with Encore Labs. We would then take the same harvest from the same table and even neighboring plants. We'd split those up into 2 VCure units, one running the quick cycle, the other running the craft cycle. From there, we let the units manage humidity, airflow, and environmental stability automatically. After the cycles were complete, Encore Labs ran a full analysis, and we got a clear picture of how the numbers changed through the drying and curing process. For the sake of keeping things simple and digestible, instead of giving you every data point, I'm going to break down the day 0 test results from the middle of the cycle test, and the final result for each cycle.
Let's have a look at the quick cycle first, starting with moisture. The flower started at 76.38% in its freshly harvested state and dropped heavily down to 15.88% by day 4. The flower reached a final moisture of 13% once the cycle was finished. And this aligns with the VCure quick cycle workflow, where the first 4 days are designed to focus on drying. Water activity started at 0.95 AW, reduced down to 0.64 AW by day 4, and finally reached 0.5 AW when the cycle was finished. Again, right in the sweet spot, no need to worry about bacteria or mold issues in the VCure. Total terpenes started at 2% and didn't change much during the first 4-day drying process. It settled at 1.585% after the cycle was completed. This is a great and impressive number, less than half a percentage loss of total terpenes through the entire drying and curing process. That's some fire flower. Total cannabinoids tested at 24% to start and finished at 19.24%. This is normal for dried flower to lose some cannabinoid content as it dries and cures. Nothing alarming here. Let's move on to the craft cycle. Compared to the quick cycle, we do see that moisture and water activity reduce more slowly, likely because the craft cycle runs over a 14-day period compared to the 8-day period that the quick cycle uses. Total moisture reaches 13% for a final result. Again, a nearly perfect prime result, right in the sweet spot for smokability and future storage. Water activity finishes at 0.5165 AW, a nearly perfect very similar to the quick cycle with no concerns about mold or pathogen growth. Total terpenes came in at 1.479 compared to the 1.585% that the quick cycle resulted, which is actually surprising since the quick cycle retained slightly more terpenes than the craft cycle. Total cannabinoids landed at 21.92%. And this is another point where the two cycles differ. The craft cycle only lost about 0.5% as many cannabinoids as the quick cycle did.
I'm gonna go ahead and give you guys just a quick summary of all the test results, starting with moisture. Both units landed nearly perfectly around that 13%. It shows that the VCure does a really good job of drying the flowers. Regardless of which cycle you choose, it's gonna dry your flowers nearly perfectly. Water activity, both units came in around that kind of 0.55 AW benchmark, which is nearly perfect for shelf stability, terpene preservation, overall smoke enjoyment, consumption, and even microbial health, which is crucial. Terpene content, as I mentioned, I was kind of surprised seeing these test results, comparing them quick cycle and craft cycle. The quick cycle actually preserved more terpenes than the craft cycle. Like I mentioned before, I believe this is because the craft cycle takes a little bit longer. It's a slower process, so more terpenes are able to evaporate throughout the longer process. Cannabinoids, this is another interesting result. The quick cycle actually came in lower than the craft cycle. This kind of suggests that the slower, longer drying and curing process of the craft cycle may help preserve cannabinoid concentration within the flower. So that's something to note, very interesting. All in all, neither cycle is actually better. It kind of depends on your goal. If you're looking for a higher terpene concentration, more flavor and aroma, maybe go with the quick cycle. If you're looking for a stronger, more potent flower, then maybe choose the craft cycle. All in all, I don't think we can say one cycle is strictly better than the other. Both quick and craft cycle nail the moisture content and water activity. I think it's more up to the individual's goals and what they're trying to achieve when drying and or curing. If you want a higher terpene concentration, then I would suggest going with the quick cycle. If you're looking for a stronger, more potent flower with a higher cannabinoid concentration, then you're probably better off going with the craft cycle. This video showed you how the experiment actually worked, but the interesting part is digging into the data itself. So in our next Green Room live stream, we'll be bringing in an actual Encore Labs representative to dive into the data and results in detail with us. We'll be talking terpene preservation, water activity, and curing environments, and what those numbers actually mean for growers. It's definitely one you won't want to miss. I'm Coach Jay, and I'll catch you there.